happening later today. My name is Lucy Colonen. I am a life coach and also Director of Women's Services at Crossover Church, which is right down the street from here. So welcome to this breakout session. And I have the honor and the privilege of introducing our speaker for this session here. And so Jennifer Brown is a thought leader in the crypto space and the founder and CEO of Space Coast Crypto Consulting. She is a certified DeFi expert with an in-depth awareness of DeFi, its services, apps, lending protocols, and use cases. She's also a certified professional in blockchain and with a focus on Bitcoin protocol from Berkeley, and holds a certification from IBM Blockchain Essentials. Creator of the Simplicity in Crypto course that is for ambition-driven people who are ready to step into their power to achieve independent wealth and freedom without wasting time and money. Being the content writer for the Crypto Corner and hosting the Crypto Wave podcast, she is building a community of crypto enthusiasts. Through her love of study and her tireless research of the crypto industry, she helps clients create a clear strategy to be successful on their crypto journey. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jennifer Brown. And you earned every word of that bio.
Thank you so much. I'm going to get here on the stage. When I was growing up, I was never really taught about money. But when I was 14 years old, I was taught the formula for success. And so today, I thought I would share the formula for success with you. But for those of you who don't know me, even after that lovely, very lengthy introduction, I am a crypto educator and crypto consultant. So what is a crypto consultant? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because it's a job that I just made up. And so luckily, it's something that I get to do all the time, and I've gotten pretty good at it. But I want you to know that it wasn't always this way. And so when I was growing up, the only thing I was really taught about money was that if you want to be successful and you want to have it, you have to follow this formula for success. And so I'm going to share that formula with you. So the formula for success is that hard work plus a good education plus a good job equals success. And so I really went all in on that idea. And so I went to school and studied to become a dental hygienist. But despite making a pretty good salary right out of school, when I finished school, I had debt, I had absolutely no savings, and no investable assets. So really I had no financial education, just like the way that I had grown up. And so I realized that I was kind of living on this proverbial hamster wheel. So I can tell you exactly where I was when I realized that I was living my life on autopilot. So I was headed to work, driving over the Pineda Causeway, and I was driving the same route that I drove the day before, to park in the same parking spot that I parked in the day before, to go inside and do the same thing that I did the day before, hour after hour. Can anyone relate? And so that is when I started to think that maybe this formula for success that I had been taught was completely wrong. So I decided that there's got to be another way. So I started studying successful investors, reading books from successful investors like Warren Buffett and Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek, and Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so Rich Dad Poor Dad is about assets and liabilities. So an asset is something that puts money into your pocket, a liability is something that costs you money every month. And so what this book teaches is that there are things that the wealthy do that the poor and the middle class do not, and that's accumulate assets that generate money and cash flow every month. And so with this newfound obsession, I started taking stock trading courses and studying for my real estate license, and learning about different creative finance techniques, but beyond that, I actually did it. I actually bought investments. And so I made money, and I also lost money. And I did it through trial and error. And I figured out that the crypto space was calling me to participate more than I had been, and that I had to go all in the crypto space. And so with this newfound enthusiasm, I went to the doctor that I was working with, and I shared these things with him that I was learning, and come to find out, he was a pretty savvy investor himself. And so he had a stock portfolio and a real estate portfolio, and one day he sat me down and he was like, you know, all of these things are really great, but I just want you to know that you're never gonna make as much money as you do here. And so I thought, this isn't right, there's gotta be a better way. Because you are in control of your life. And so you can either create the life that you love, the life that you want to live, or somebody else is gonna write that story for you. Because the truth is that we are not limited. We're only limited by the beliefs that we have. And so I did go on to meet Robert Kiyosaki, and he helped me to come up with this new formula for success. And so that new formula for success is hard work plus a good financial education equals success. And so here is a photo of my husband and my son, and this is a fish that my son caught at the beach across from our house. And my husband is a fisherman, and he actually just came back from a fishing tournament that he was at in St. Kitts this week. And so the whole point of these fishing tournaments is that if you catch the biggest fish, you can actually win these prizes. And so he somehow always convinces me that it's a good idea to travel to different countries and spend all of this money to enter into these fishing tournaments, because you can win like $5, $10, even $20,000 prizes for catching the biggest fish. And so it reminds me of this story of a fisherman who goes to this great fishing stream, and he looks down the riverbank and he sees a fisherman who is just reeling in one fish after another. And every fish that he reels in, he unhooks it and he measures it up to this broken off ruler that's on the riverbank. And if the fish is smaller than the ruler, or the same size as the ruler, he throws it into his bucket. But if it's bigger, he throws it back. And so finally, after an hour or so of doing this, the fisherman goes over and asks him, hey, why are you throwing all of the big fish back? And so the fisherman points over to the ruler and he says, do you see that measuring stick? That's the size of my frying pan. And so we would laugh at a fisherman who would actually do that, who would measure the size of their fish by their frying pan, but unconsciously we all do that. The sea of life throws us a big fish, and that comes in the form of an idea or an opportunity. And we say things like, I can't afford that, or I don't have the education, or I'm too old, or I'm too young. Give me something that fits my frying pan. And so Robert Kiyosaki, along with helping me to come up with this new formula for success, he also encouraged me to think bigger. Like, that was his main message, was think bigger. And so I encourage you guys to think bigger also, because the next biggest thing is upon us, and that is the consumer blockchain. So blockchain technology is a digital ledger of transactions that's duplicated and distributed across an entire network of computer systems. But let me put into context first Web 1 before we start talking about Web 3. So I bet there are people in this room who may have discounted the internet itself as just a fad. Or how about who in here had a pager, or who had a BlackBerry and didn't want to trade the BlackBerry in for the iPhone because they didn't want to give up their buttons. And so then Web 2, we have the rise of social media, where you can actually contribute to the internet and consume and share content. And so there are so many people who discount social media and says that Facebook, I'm never joining Facebook because Facebook is just for kids. But if you ask any kid out there, they'll tell you Facebook is for their grandparents. So we think that these technologies are just a fad, like the internet and email and mobile phones, but really they're changing the way that we live. And so our children are if you have kids anywhere between the age of 5 and 14, they're growing up in these digital spaces. They're being conditioned to transact in these digital ways. They're getting used to owning custodial wallets and using digital currencies. So if you have children from the age of 5 to 14, you probably know about Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite. And really, it's just normalizing digital assets, normalizing these spaces. And as far as the consumer blockchain goes, like this generation are our next set of consumers. And so they're growing up that this is normal. So I want to go over the technology adoption life cycle. And so when we talk about the technology adoption life cycle, we're really looking at 5 stages. And these 5 stages represent groups of people. So we have the innovators, and so innovators are like the real techie ones. They want to try new technology no matter what it is. Then you have the early adopters. So early adopters are the visionaries. They can really see the future. Then you have the early majority. And so the early majority, these are the pragmatic ones, the practical ones. Then you have the late majority. So the late majority, they want to make sure that the early majority are okay, that nothing too bad happened to them. And the laggards, the why do I need a computer? My typewriter works just fine. And so I want to show you some examples of some disruptive technologies that we've seen in the past. And so this is a chart showing the S-curve growth of automobiles. And so automobiles beginning in the early 1900s, it took about 14 years to go from 0% of the population to 10% of population to own them. And then you have this period that we call crossing the chasm, where you have this major jump from 10% to 90% saturation. So again, it took 14 years to get from 0 to 10%, and then it took 14 years to get from 10% to 90%. So the same thing with mobile phones. It took 14 years to get from 0 to 10, and then from 10 to 90. And we saw the same thing with broadband internet. Then this time it caught on a little bit quicker. It only took about 8 years to go from 0 to 10%, and then from 10 to 90. And when we look at cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, or just any cryptocurrency, we have 300 million plus people around the world that own or use cryptocurrency. And so these metrics are skewed because it's hard to say how many people actually have wallets. Some people can have multiple wallets. So it's really hard to get an actual true count of how many crypto users that there are. But according to some studies that have been done, then there's 300 million plus crypto users. And so if this is true, then Bitcoin is showing Bitcoin at 10% or even less of saturation. So the point is, we're still early when it comes to cryptocurrency, and with disruptive technologies, it's never a straight path up. It's never a linear move. And so when you can zoom out and use a logarithmic scale, the logarithmic scale has this magic of kind of calming you down, where you can see that we're on this trend. And so we've seen this story before. So the opportunity to gain a competitive advantage into the new digital economy is now. So I encourage you to learn about it. How can you utilize blockchain technology with your business, whether you're incorporating it into current business models or even accepting crypto as payments? So my call to action to you is to do the work, to take the time to learn about cryptocurrency and digital assets and blockchain technology, because it truly is a disruptive technology and it's changing the way that we live. Thank you. And then please feel free to scan for some free resources. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, I just said that. Yes. So Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency. It has the largest market cap. I want to say today it's around 40% of the market cap of all of the crypto assets. There's 20,000 plus different cryptocurrencies, and there's new ones being added every day. And so Bitcoin is the first one, and it definitely has the majority of the market share. So the number 2 cryptocurrency is Ethereum. Now, there is a website, it's called Transaction Hub. It's a really interesting website that shows you, and it animates for you, how many people are actually using the Ethereum network versus the Bitcoin network, and how many transactions are being verified. And when you look at this website, it shows you that there's so many more people that are building and using the Ethereum network as far as transactions and networks being used compared to Bitcoin. It's still slow as far as usage.
So if I was a business who wanted to incorporate blockchain, like you were saying, have an eye to the future, what opportunities would there be for me? Could you say something about maybe like a Main Street business and then maybe something a little...
Sure. Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So if you're an author, you could actually mint your book as an NFT. And so what minting your book as an NFT, it basically is the same, it's the same process of publishing. And so it allows you to have ownership of your asset, and then it allows you to create relationships with your customers one-on-one. So if you think about like rewards programs and loyalty programs, so minting your book as an NFT to build relationships one-on-one. So that way your customers can actually help to fund your businesses. Instead of there being third parties in between, you can actually have growth between the two parties and help to build each other. And then, what's another way that you can add blockchain?
Like say I was here and I ran a painting business. How would I incorporate blockchain? What does the future look like for me where I have painters that I send out to people?
Okay, so an example of how you can incorporate blockchain is through smart contracts. So you can actually, through cryptocurrencies, create a smart contract. And in that smart contract, you can have a set of laws and rules. And then, so say somebody hires you to send a painter out, and once the painter has gone to the job and has completed the job, then somebody verifies that that job has been completed, then you can actually release funds to pay the painter. So through smart contracts, it can actually, people can get paid for the work that they do instead of just getting paid like hourly or having to monitor somebody hour by hour. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Come on in and grab a seat. We're trying to rustle up a couple more people. I think the mingling is going hard out there, so we're not as many folks know we're getting started in here. But I'm going to kill a minute and just make a quick announcement for ourselves. So I work with Well Bikes, which is right downstairs. It's a nonprofit bike shop. We're part of a larger nonprofit called The Well, which basically set up as like a nonprofit holding company. We have several kind of social enterprises that we kind of hold within that, say, nonprofit portfolio. But Well Bikes downstairs is a big, kind of the bigger piece, like the bigger fish in that little ecosystem. We are a nonprofit bike shop. We sell refurbished bikes at affordable prices. And then we have a full service repair shop. We take all the service and sales revenue and we invest it in an Earn a Bike program to slide scale repairs. There's a lot of neighbors around here that maybe can't afford cars, but they can afford bikes. And then for those that can't afford bikes, we actually have an Earn a Bike program so people can come in and buy their bike with community service hours. And so on Sunday, actually downstairs, we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary, which we're super excited about. We actually partnered with DarkCycle to make these, so V is a 5, they tell me, the 5-year anniversary shirts. And we want to invite all you guys to kind of come out on Sunday if you're around or if you're nearby. So how much, I'm not sure how much time to kill or how many folks we got rolling in.
We're going to try and do an announcement out there, so keep going, you're doing great.
No, so I'm actually gonna, are you good? I don't know how much, okay, so guys, I'm really just wanting to come up and introduce Joe. Joe Hamilton and I actually met Joe, it was about 5 years ago. Well Built Bikes was actually part of what was called Social Venture Partners that was kind of trying to incubate and run a little seed funding kind of competition thing and a little education arm. And he was part of the SVP, and we met through that kind of accelerator incubator program. And here we are today, celebrating 5 years later. At the same time, I think you were launching Catalyst, and actually they did a little piece on us. He's been publishing this kind of news thing, as we're going to talk about evolution of local news. This man's been evolving himself, Catalyst, into Cityverse, right? And so I'm going to bring up Joe. You guys give it up for Joe. Thank you so much for being here. Distracted for one more second. Why? He's definitely not just pulling his zipper up. Here we go.
Nothing to see here. Well, thank you. We have a small, intimate group, which is nice. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Cityverse. But Cityverse grew out of the Catalyst, which is a local news platform based in St. Pete. That was sort of a weirdly accidental thing. I had no journalism background, but we were doing a lot of work for the city, for groups in the city. I was on all these boards, and we were doing all this pretty cool stuff, and we'd get these great minds together and come up with these great ideas, and they were just kind of a whisper out to the community. They just didn't resonate. And I said, man, our communication channels in cities are just kind of broken, right? And obviously, social media has played a big part in that. Social media fragmented out our attention to all these different platforms, and rightly so, because a lot of times it was bigger and better, and cooler and more granular and more exciting, and with different channels and types of content than things like the local newspaper used to have, which was mainly print stuff. So we thought, let's take a crack at starting something that will help celebrate our businesses. Kind of a competitor to our good friends at the Business Journal, but more focused on St. Pete. We felt the St. Pete businesses were especially underserved by the Business Journal. So we started the Catalyst, and we came at it with a framework of social, kind of impact journalism thing. So it wasn't traditional. We felt like the Times had the whole thing covered with regard to the gotcha stuff, breaking the stories on the toxic spills and things like that. So we thought, let's put out content that is solutions-based. So instead of saying there's no talent in the area, we'll talk about 5 ways that different corporations or companies or groups are being creative about finding and making and transforming talent or whatever. And it just worked. So we kind of stumbled along. We moved from business into arts because the Times abandoned art culture. And over time, pretty much anything the Times kind of came out and said, we can't cover this anymore, we decided to cover. For having kind of a positive attitude and really trying to, the name Catalyst is meant to say, we're going to put the ideas out there to start the conversations, but it's really up to you to have the conversations. So I fell into this world of journalism and community building and community connectedness too, because another piece of the newspaper was the newspaper for many, many years was where the community gathered, right? That's it, right? It's like names in the paper. And so that's where people got their information. That's what set the tone and the narrative of the culture of a city, the attitude of a city, the things that people were talking about. This was the hub of attention. And social media did attention better and rightly won all the audience, and so local news suffered, but there was a bigger consequence to local news suffering, which was the dissolution and dissolving of the community in a lot of different ways. People stopped interacting with high school sports. People were more interested in artists on the other side of the world instead of artists next door to them. People disengaged from local politics to deeper clickbaity issues, and et cetera, et cetera. So all this kind of coalesced into an opportunity, I felt, and we sort of, again, stumbled into it. But it brought forth some interesting sort of observations on the nature of attention when it comes to news now. And it's a little bit macro, a little bit micro, a little bit psychological, but I think it actually has applications to any real business, because of the way the world has changed with regard to our interconnectivity. And I think that this change that I'm going to get into in a second also informs how it will change again with blockchain and Web3 and some of the opportunities that it unlocks. So it used to be when we only had a few places to get our news from that it was easy to manipulate us, right? And that's where the whole idea of objectivity in journalism came from. We need to trust that this is the fourth estate, that when these corporations or these government officials are doing these things, we're only hearing about them from two spaces, 2-3 places, a couple news channels on TV, one newspaper in a town, maybe one national paper, that objectivity and real raw information is the most important thing in the world. Fast forward to many years later, how that has changed. It's changed for a couple of reasons. Number one, nobody believes anymore that people are truly objective. I mean, there are objective journalists out there, but if you really dig into it, even if they're doing their job objectively, they can't help but not post things that make their blood boil in a certain way. So even the most objective are not objective. And now when you look at the maps out there that exist of all the news organizations, they're always on some spectrum. I'm over here on the left, I'm over here on the right. Nobody thinks anybody's in the middle anymore. So the very idea of objectivity has kind of gone away. The other thing that happened is the internet happened, and the idea that you could connect to anyone, anywhere in the world and learn things from experts. If you're into left-handed butterflies, you can go on YouTube or go on some community and have 10 new best friends that talk about left-handed butterflies all day and all night. And that kind of expertise and how you understand that, how you interact with that, and that granularity actually changed the nature of how you wanted to absorb information. And so expertise became a little more in demand. And so that's where the lever has shifted. So it went from objectivity to expertise. And I think, again, that's true in trying to build a news platform and trying to build Cityverse, but it's also true in trying to put content out to the world and whatever you're trying to influence or however you're trying to make your mark. And so then the question is, how do you unlock objectivity in a way that's, how do you unlock that expertise in a way that serves the community? And social media gave us the vehicle and the idea that people could come out and be experts on these things. And this is essentially what your influencers are, right? They're either influencers about crypto, or they're influencers about beauty, or they're influencers about the environment, or they're just influencers because of their personality. But it's a kind of granular expertise that satisfies people in a way that they didn't even know they needed 50 or 20 or 30 years ago. But then you come back to, well, we can't just have the coolest kid in town influence our cities, right? So we need to find a way to build a platform that can bring the ideas of objectivity, can bring the spirit of objectivity, that can bring the expertise of granularity, but then, as a platform, try to be the mood setter, the culture setter, such that it's about making the community better and binding us together. And so that's essentially where Cityverse came from. And as we're waxing philosophical, I'll talk about understanding the ways that social media platforms, the roles they play in our lives, right? So everybody assumed for the longest time that Facebook was kind of the neighborhood social media platform. And it turns out it really wasn't. Facebook is the platform for your friends and family. If you think about it, how many of your neighbors are you friends with? Were you ever friends with on Facebook? And my apologies to people who were too young to use Facebook, but that's my generation. So people weren't friends with their neighbors on Facebook, and they weren't really friends with the community on Facebook. They were friends with the people that they knew or were related to, which largely thought like them, right? You tend to think like your family does, not 100% of the time, but 80% of the time. You tend to think like your friends do. That's why you're your friends 80% of the time. This gave rise to all the silos, right? Because it's basically us connecting with people who think like us and just reinforcing that over and over again. Those are the silos that we see now, which have, for the worse, changed how we interact with each other and what our value systems are. So, but going back to understanding how what role it played, I see Facebook as national ideologies, because typically the things that you believe in are left-right stuff that's national ideologies, not necessarily tied to local. And going back the other way, who came along and said, oh, I see this too about Facebook, is Nextdoor, right? They said, oh man, there's this real utility to connecting neighbors, and there's this underserved tribe of neighbors, and we're going to build this platform, which I don't think anybody will argue is a groundbreaking, awesome platform. It's just a bunch of people in a forum, right? And they serve the neighborhood, and people came like gangbusters, and their platform went public in a SPAC for $4.3 billion. Simply, and again, the key there is to understand that it had nothing to do with how awesome the platform was, because nobody thinks it's awesome. In fact, most people find Nextdoor miserable, but they served a tribe that wasn't served, they served a need that wasn't served, and that really, to me, coalesced the idea of these different needs that we have for our social platforms. Now, if you have the national, and you have the neighborhood, what's in between that, right? That's the civic, that's the city. And that's the place that is still open because the newspaper should have taken it. They were the ones that held that spot. They should have innovated and grabbed these different methodologies and these different new ways of collecting information and become the civic social media platform, essentially. And of course, all these guys, are still, their very DNA is objectivity. How can we decide posts? How can we do this? And how can we let people yapping on our platform? It just doesn't fit with who we are. We're above that. We're different than that. That's too weird for us. And so they didn't do it, and cities suffered for it. And that's what Cityverse is trying to correct. And so how we're doing that is we're taking the core. We need, there are things that not too many people are expert on sitting through city council meetings, right? So you're not going to get, you might, but those aren't your top of the list influencers. So we still need to cover city council meetings. We still need to cover the things that catalyze the conversations. But now we can say there are people out there who are experts in our city and who still are acceptably objective. So to me, if we're talking about coastal high hazard, and a professor of engineering and environmental studies comes in and says, here's what I think about our floodplain and how we should build and what coastal high hazard means to me, I know that this guy's a professor. I know he maybe leans a little bit to the left, as many academics do. I know that he's going to be environment first. I know that, and I'm okay with that. I understand where he lives on the objectivity spectrum, but I also now value his expertise, and I want that expertise, and I want to pull it in. And then on the other side of that, ideally, you have the person who says, we must build, we must grow, and this helps our tax base, and that tax money can come and build levees, and that's the better way to do it. And you know where they're coming from, and they have some objectivity, and they have some perspective. And and in reality, this is something we've always suffered with as humans, but that social media made really bad. And this is the idea that our perspective is our identity, and I think local is the cure to that. If you think about, I use the example of offshore drilling. Right, offshore drilling is an environmental risk. Have a leak, kill a lot of fish. Environmental drilling is a tourism risk. If we had a leak, nobody came down here and went to our beaches during the BP oil spill. Offshore drilling is a huge asset for a company. It's a financial boom. Offshore drilling is a great energy provider. It provides a lot of energy that we, whether you like that energy source or not, it's still not foreign energy, but it's energy. And it's also a tax asset. Offshore drilling is all of those things, and they're very different from each other. And so the environmentalist will talk to the financial guy or the corporate person, and what I think social media has done is mean that those two are essentially representing their identities through the proxy of this argument about offshore drilling. And of course, if you constantly just hit environmental and the other person constantly hits tax asset, you're never going to come together. And so, what we're hoping to do as a platform, which we think is easier to do locally, because local issues don't fall into that identity attached. They do, but this is what the fight we're trying to fight, is to say, if you can argue the other side's point better than they can, you win, right? This is the steel man thing, this is the perspectives thing, but essentially to understand that there are perspectives, and as a community, in knowing who we are, and knowing who's on this platform, and having these ideas that catalyze you, that the community is small enough and tight enough that we can understand these different perspectives. We have enough respect for each other as neighbors and as citizens that we can come at these problems with understanding their perspectives. So it's taking a small bite solution approach to a much larger problem. And how we're going to activate that is to mine up the gems of this knowledge and the gems of this content from the community. So we have the Catalyst Core News. We'll keep the flywheel of content going. That's our cheat, right? Because the big thing with platforms, especially local, is there's some financial weirdness to them. YouTube can take 1 billion hours of video a minute, and the best stuff will come up and get 10 million, 20 million, 100 million views, and then there's money, and there's real money. You can make $1 million a month. That is the carrot to put your content on YouTube. But that's never going to happen. You're never going to get 1 million views in St. Petersburg, Florida, a piece of content. So we've had to try to find a mix of incentives that would catalyze content onto the platform. And as I said earlier, people like to be in the newspaper. People do appreciate the distribution. That's one element. And so we're building tools that, and incentives, of which distribution is one, money is another, gamification is another. But some examples of those are we'll give neighborhood associations a free newsletter tool. Neighborhood associations are already sending out newsletters. This is a free tool for them to do that. They still send it to their 400 families in their district or their neighborhood. But that content also goes up into their Cityverse home space, and the best of it goes into neighborhood writing, the best of neighborhood writing, and the best of that may go out in our daily edition. We're going to give sports reporting tools to high schools, and they can now use social media type software to upload their sports scores, and whether the administrators do it or the coaches do it or whatever, that all gets aggregated onto a high school sports section. So now we're rebuilding the local newspaper with modern methodologies to give people this rare content. So if you're a mom or a dad, you wake up in the morning and here's what's happening in my kid's school, here's what's happening in my neighborhood, here's what's happening in my favorite nonprofit. That's the kind of experience that's local, social media, that could be really interestingly, if they get addicted to that civic goodness, then we might get something. And then moving into the Web3 thing, the Cityverse branding and element of it, and once we build an online community, then we can actually start to build a virtual life on the platform. So, we'll give every artist a free gallery, and they can upload their work into the gallery. They will mint NFTs automatically. Somebody buys one of those NFTs, it will get ported to their home space. So every home space has, when you set up for a home space, you have your own wallet and your own NFT gallery just built into what you're doing already. So you buy a piece of art, and it immediately goes into your home space. Because that's one of the biggest problems with NFT adoption right now, is no one knows how to get them and nobody knows what to do with them when they have them. So this helps solve that. And then it starts to build out the ubiquity of NFTs. So we'll give tools for nonprofits. You do a beach cleanup, you get an NFT. And that NFT now goes and becomes a social signal. You buy a VIP ticket for a concert, you get an NFT. So now your NFT gallery becomes your civic self-expression, but it also builds community around what you're into, shows the art you support, and then we can build a marketplace around it. So we can say, here's all the galleries, and then here's the St. Pete or Tampa Cityverse Art District, and here's the latest art that's up, and here's the ticker that shows all the NFTs that have just sold. And all of a sudden now you've built this online existence where people are going to go, I'm going to go shopping for art and underwear from home, and I'm going to check out everybody's gallery and buy some stuff and see what my friends have bought. But it's all local, right? That's the thing. The energy is all local. So you have to verify. Anybody can browse the Cityverse. If you're a tourist and you want to come in and check things out and buy stuff, yes. But if you want to have a gallery, a home space, contribute content, earn money from our tools, you have to live there. So it's just this hyper-local application. And then essentially that opens the door to just build any tools we want. So Patreon, Substack, all the tools that exist locally, all the tools that exist on the internet, we apply locally, and we just, that's our secret sauce, our special value add is that locally. So, if you want to be a famous dessert chef, you do your cool videos, you make your parfaits, you put it on YouTube, and you become famous. But if you're St. Pete foodies or Tampa foodies, it's nearly impossible to build an audience on YouTube because it's just too dispersed. Nobody cares about St. Pete food restaurants in Peoria, Illinois, but it's totally saturated with people who care about St. Pete restaurants and St. Pete Cityverse. So really, that's the beauty of the platforms. We don't have to invent anything new. We just apply everything new to local. And if it works, we win. So I think that's a pretty good brain dump. We don't, John, how much time do we have?
7 minutes.
Okay. So that makes sense to everyone? Anybody have any questions or thoughts on which pieces are compelling or which pieces don't make any sense whatsoever, or any other?
So one, amen. I love absolutely everything you're saying. The back end question is, what changes all of that?
So good question. So we're gonna, because we're gonna make NFTs affordable, and we're gonna probably lazy mint like OpenSea does, the beach cleanup stuff and the stuff that's local. And then we want to be chain agnostic. So when you buy a piece of local art, if you want to put it on Polygon for free and you're cool with that, but if you think art should be on Ethereum and you're willing to pay the gas fee, then you can put it on Ethereum. So yeah, we want to be chain agnostic for those types of things that have value to them. And we will have 2 on-platform coins. This is going to be the interesting part. I imagine many rooms and many hours in the dark room with lawyers, but we're going to do an on-platform stable coin called Fluence, which again, I should also mention there's just a lot of layers to this, but one of the goals we're hoping to do in innovating local news is what's the revenue conversation for local news historically? It's subscriptions or ads, and I want to get rid of both of those. I don't want any subscriptions and I don't want any ads. So the question is, how do we make our money? And we make our money in place of the other people who normally make money, which is the credit card companies, or the credit card companies and the banks. And so I think this will be a common occurrence, but by introducing a stable coin on our platform, when people will buy 100 Fluence, and as they spend them, the fees that would be normally a credit card fee of 2.5 or 3%, we can charge 0.5%. And as the money moves around the platform, we can be the bank and the credit card. With our stablecoin, it gives us fiscal control and economic policy control over what we're doing. It'll all be dollar-backed, so it's not an algorithmic stablecoin, a la our fund we've had lately. And then we're going to have an ownership token as well. So that's going to be called a meta token, and then in keeping with Web3 ethos, that the people who live in the Cityverse should have the right to own a piece of that Cityverse. We'll be tokenizing each Cityverse as we move to new cities, and that's actually part of our financial scalability model, so that when we go to a new city, we can sell a certain percentage depending on what our valuations are as new cities. Ideally goes up and up with each city, but say it's a $10 million valuation and we sell 10% for $1 million in a new city, then half that money can go to staffing the Catalyst for the first year or two, and then the other half can go towards buying Fluence and then incentivizing people to do things that we want them to do, gamifying participation in the Cityverse. And of course, all of this is cool financially, it's cool from a connection standpoint, but it also is really, I think, critical to community health. I think it builds one of the best ideas circulate, and it circulates to the most people. It builds resiliency, it builds consensus, and there's just doesn't feel like there's a real mechanism for that in communities today that meet the expectations of how new people, young people go up and how they expect to interact with each other. So if we can bring those people
recording
together,
in progress.
All right, I got shit over. All right, Dan. Okay.
Sorry about that. Sorry, Joe. Just this one.
Turning this one.
Yeah. I exited. Yeah, this one needs to be, because we had this one. That's going to be fun.
So we will communicate very, very that
Stick back
each
in here.
nation may have a meta chess league, competes with meta chess league in Tampa, but by syndicating content, to some extent we're killing local. The idea is that the content has to be about something. It should mention something for Tampa. It's the same thing. Yeah, so the idea is actually not to syndicate things. We may syndicate locally, so it's in the news they also have
I mean,
but the minute it gets any bigger than that, I take pride in the fact that you should search for Trump or Biden on the Catalyst and almost nothing comes up at all. Maybe somebody made a quote about something local, but never brings it up. And so we've been very good about staying local, because otherwise it's just too easy to get.
But now it's not
into
coming from
places to play and nobody plays. Yeah, doesn't mean we can't syndicate ideas.
Yeah.
So if there's a program that comes up, that's sort of a reputable program that art, some kind of funny take on art in your city, doesn't mean we wouldn't try the funny take on art in somebody else's city. But we bring that local art, that local host, and have just copy the format idea and see what works in your city. But we wouldn't have content in the city. Just like local, that's the kind of Yeah, so we met, I'm just a member.
Recording in progress.
And on the Catalyst, we actually have a whole section on impact, which is specifically for nonprofits. We have a show called Impact Catalyst, and we'll run episodes of that, where we feature nonprofits. We have called the Impact Connector, for any nonprofit who comes submit a need that they have, and we'll go to the table, so if people visit that section page, they can see what's available for them to do, and then specific nonprofit for you. It's almost like it's almost an independent newspaper. We actually have an Impact Council as well, which is about 10 of the bigger nonprofits in the town are on, that we do projects with quarterly and 300% where we are doing our best to go on decent. But yeah, we have smart data safety catalyst.com. Send a smart safety catalyst.com. There's an event, so it's a straight calendar. Usually it's an event. We feature 3 in every edition of this card. Feature 4 of this. Events are not video events. We're going to build every tool that's out there by locally. Amount of time. Thanks so much.
Guys, give it up, Joe. Thanks so much.
The one who made it, she actually did it. Well, it's funny.
Next slide.
Right before you're going to bring it up.
Good evening. I'm Rhea Law, President of the University of South Florida, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the 8th Annual Innovation Gathering. To here tonight through the use of innovative technology that's being utilized by USF's College of Engineering. It's to help share those messages when life circumstances make us wish we could be in 2 places at once. Isn't this incredible? Previously, holograms like this have been primarily used in the entertainment industry and the military. But there are so many possibilities for how this technology can be leveraged in our society. Some believe holograms will be the future of remote work because of their ability to create a lifelike virtual experience. And that's exactly why we are here today. This year's Innovation Gathering explores our theme, the Metaverse and You. There are so many ways that the Metaverse is being used to positively transform communities. We believe this cutting-edge technology can help upskill people living in Tampa's Uptown District, including the blue-collar tech workers who will benefit from having access to training with emerging technologies. The University of South Florida is proud to serve as an anchor partner for this important event. Our university has supported the growth of Soaring Cities Innovation Partnership since its inception because we are committed to achieving the organization's goals of ending generational poverty and closing the income gap within Tampa's Uptown District. We've seen tremendous change within the Uptown District in recent years, and USF is at the center of all of it through our cutting-edge technology, evolving partnerships, and innovative leadership. Our vision for this community is to create a vibrant place where our students, employees, and community members want to live, work, and play. And we can only achieve this if we link arms with forward-thinking leaders and partners like you. To our members and anchoring institutions joining us this evening, thank you for your dedicated partnership with this innovative community. To uplift the Uptown District, it will take all of us working together to adapt, collaborate, and reimagine how we can use emerging technologies to strengthen our local workforce and spread opportunity. And Tampa's Uptown District is the perfect place to transform into a resilient ecosystem of innovation. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your support of the Soaring City Innovation Partnership. Together, we can change the world and position Tampa as one of the first metaverse cities in the country. Go Bulls!
It is so wonderful to have this message from the USF President, Rhea Law, kicking us off. And also, I was just told a few minutes ago that we have the honor of having the Provost for USF, Dr. Eric Eisenberg, is also here. Dr. Eric, there he is. We have certainly got a great program planned for you. It has been quite an afternoon, a beautiful celebration of all the things that are going on here at Uptown with Soaring City. This is the 8th annual Innovation Gathering. Every year, this is an opportunity for everyone to come together and see the many things that we've done together, and also to renew the promise of many things that are yet to come, and how lives are being changed in the community. I am Lisette Campos. I'm the Senior Advisor in Communications for Omni Public, and I'm proud to work with our founder, Cesar Hernandez, and the team there, talking to reporters in the region, in the state, nationally, about all the things that are going on here in Uptown. And so when we say that you all are literally transforming the neighborhood, we mean it. I mean, the pictures are incredible. Everything that's changing here, I don't know if each of you realize it, but once this program, once this entire project is complete, the revitalization here will be one of the largest in the state of Florida. So a lot of wonderful and important positive things happening. Now, walking through the tables of innovation earlier tonight, we know may have been a little bit hectic, a lot of people together, seeing each other and talking to you about their programs. And the whole idea of that is for each of you to get a taste of the innovation that's going on here and the creativity that's happening here. We want you to know and see for yourselves that we have some of the brightest innovators in the world right here under one roof. Since 2014, the annual Innovation Gathering has been able to highlight research and technology and achievements of the Uptown Innovation Corridor. Community support, of course, makes it all possible, starting with RD Management, the moving force behind Rhythm at Uptown. As I said earlier, once complete, this will be one of the largest mixed-use innovation communities in the entire state of Florida. The Rhythm, in case you don't know, is an acronym, and it stands for Research, Innovation, Technology, Habitat, and Medicine. Now, those are the building blocks that make Soaring City so unique with the tenants that are here in Uptown. Tenants like View Technologies, the USF Institute of Applied Engineering, L23 Lab, and our newest addition, The Hub, which is a student housing that opened this fall with approximately 800 residents. What's happening next? Plenty. There's a grocery store that will be built, Sprouts grocery store, and also construction of a hotel will be starting soon. How many of you were able to enjoy some of the food earlier tonight? Right? Great stuff. Everything that's a part of this program, everything that's a part of this event has been deliberately selected to celebrate what's already here and also to give you a taste of what's coming. We honor the people who have been here working very hard to make this a success. And so that's why we bring together participants for the Taste of Uptown who have been here from the beginning. And so you have been able to sample some of the foods from, let's see, we have the list here. We have Chicken Salad Chick, Fuzzy's Taco Shop, J-Ho's Indian Kitchen and Arabian Grill, Jerk Hut, Look Dine-In Cinemas, the Station House Barbecue, and of course, Yingling Brewing Company. Please join me in a round of applause for all of them. It's actually a really exciting time for our neighbors, but Yingling in particular, if you don't already know this, they have a campus that is under construction. It's on 30th Street Hospitality Campus, and that's going to be finished soon, so congratulations. Exciting stuff. Our sponsors, also very important to this. As I said earlier, every piece of the Innovation Gathering each year is very deliberate. It's done to celebrate and to honor those that have been part of this process from the beginning. And our sponsors make it possible for us to host this gathering for free, so that it is a true celebration, a true open house, so to speak, where everyone can come in and celebrate together and really see what's happening and talk about what comes next. We are very, very proud and incredibly grateful, of course, to our presenting sponsor. And our presenting sponsor of the 2022 Innovation Gathering is Verizon. Please join me in a round of applause. We also want to recognize an additional core of sponsors. Please hold your applause until I've called all the names. They are Atkins Global, Dallas One Construction, Hillsborough County's ED12 program, the City of Temple Terrace, and our partners at Florida Blue, who are an integral part of building a resilient community here in Uptown for generations to come. To all of our sponsors, thank you very, very much. Elected officials are also joining us this evening. We'd like to recognize those that are here. Thank you to Temple Terrace Mayor Andy Ross, Temple Terrace City Councilwoman Sherry Donahue. We also have the chairwoman of the Hillsborough County Commission, Kimberly Overman, joining us, and I believe that Hillsborough County Commissioner Harry Cohen is still with us as well. So thank you to all of them for coming and showing their support to this important endeavor. And now it is my privilege to turn things over to a moving force here at Soaring City, and really there's no one better than him to explain the theme for this year's The Metaverse and You. Please welcome the Executive Director for Soaring City and the very inimitable Mark Sharp.
I want to thank Lisette for a fabulous job. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being our MC. I'm very excited about this event. And I just want to kind of briefly explain, when we talk about the Metaverse and You, what it means and why we have the speakers that we're going to have this evening talking to you and who they are. They're world class, some of the leaders when you get into the Metaverse conversation. For me, this started on a train ride back in 2019, a cold night, snowing outside of Denver. I'm reading Wired magazine, and on the cover it's talking about this thing called Mirror World. And the author's Kevin Kelly. I would urge you to Google Kevin Kelly magazine and read what I read. Because what Kevin talked about was the type of technology that can transform society. And he went back through the history of technological transformation, the advent of the internet, social media. And he said, there's something coming at us like a freight. And it's this digital replication of everything that's going to create trillions of dollars in value and wealth. It's going to create companies not even heard of yet that will make the Googles and the Facebooks, now Meta, and Microsoft and others pale in comparison. We're going to create companies that will literally change the world using this new technology that's being developed in laboratories and universities, companies across the globe. And as I'm reading that, it's, I'm Googling more about this, and then I'm texting our staff, and I got a fabulous staff, and I want to thank Tracy Ingram and Eddie Burge and Eric Larson and Bonnie. Let me tell you, these events would not have a very small team of individuals who work their tail off to make it happen and make it work right. But I'm talking to them about this new thing. I'm like, guys, there's this thing called Mirror World. It's the web 3.0. It's the spatial web. It's the metaverse. And it's going to change everything. And if we are looking for a way to lift up the community and to embed technology into the neighborhood, as Chris Bowen, our chairman, always does, and truly end generational poverty and close the income gap, we can't, as has had in the past when new technology is developed, and it goes into certain communities, it goes to certain neighborhoods, and some people do very, very well, but others miss it. And at a time when our population is aging, and we might not have the same numbers that we have had in the past with regard to our workforce, we can't afford to let this pass our community by. And so we made it our mission to find a way to bring the experts to Uptown. Yingling, and they'll have their ribbon cutting on their new $65 million hospitality house on 30th Street. Yingling came and said, we got to find a way to introduce people to what we do, but not walk them through our manufacturing facility. Do you know of a technology we might be able to use? So I called Levitz, who's the founder of, at the time, Magic Leap in South Florida, raised billions of dollars in capital, a leader in the metaverse conversation. And I asked Roni, could we come visit? Can we talk to you about strategies that we could use to deploy at England with our other company? And Roni said, I'm going to introduce you to our team, the Boston Consulting Group, and the work that we're doing to build and train what we're now calling the blue-collar tech-enabled workforce. And that really just like blew my mind. We got to do this. They have been with us for the last year. We've been introducing them to elected officials. We're taking them around to different companies and businesses. We're talking to them. They're getting to talk to our entire community. But the point is, we want to be able to work with them and you to build something that has never been built in this country, and then do something that Florida Blue tasked us with doing when they gave us the resources to build out the Black Box Accelerator, to begin to talk about ending generational poverty. We knew it had to be something special, it had to be something really big, and that's what this is. And so we're thrilled that Verizon is sponsoring it, and I think you're going to really love hearing Roni and Guy Gillian. This is an interesting microphone. Guy Gillian from the Boston Consulting Group talk to you about what we believe will be a transformational change in the way business is conducted. Everyone will have a metaverse strategy, just as everyone now has an internet strategy. Everyone's going to have to deploy tech. Universities, hospitals, when you get into the conversation about, remote visits to your doctor. We're starting to do some of it now. We're doing it with Zoom and other technologies. All going to have an awareness. We just want to make sure that our awareness begins within the Uptown District, within a community that in the past has been passed by, but no longer. And so we're thrilled to have the residents of Uptown here with us. We're going to work together to change the world. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mark will be back in a little later to continue the program during the awards presentation. We will be presenting the Jack Kolofsky Healthcare Innovator Award. But first, you will be hearing from our guest speaker. to help us introduce that guest speaker, that high-tech keynote, please welcome Verizon's Courtney Barnard.
Good evening, I'm Courtney Barnard with Verizon. I'm hoping that I'll do okay with this microphone. It's a little iffy this evening. I want to let you all know that Verizon is so proud to sponsor the 8th Annual Innovation Gathering because we are a company that believes innovation is for everyone. We want to work to close the digital divide because this is going to bring access to higher education. It's going to bring access to better jobs, innovation for small businesses, and more fulfilling lives for the members of our community. So we're so excited to be here today. And if you haven't already, we have a booth right outside that door there. And I urge you to stop by because we have some wonderful, innovative things going on. And one of them is actually our new 5G home product. It is completely wireless 5G home internet, so no more fiber, no more cable. It is just a little box. You can put it in your house, plug it in, and you're ready to go. Very exciting stuff. And even better, if we have any students here or individuals from the local community, we have some fantastic offers going on right now. So if you're a recipient of a Pell Grant, if you're a recipient of SNAP, Medicaid, or if your child is enrolled in a free lunch program, you will qualify for the Affordable Connectivity Program, which could offer you free Verizon internet. So yes, that is free. So we're here to bring this to our community, and I'm so excited to be here today. Now moving on to our presentation, it is my pleasure to introduce our main presentation tonight, which is the Metaverse in You. So we have two individuals here this evening who are working at the forefront of the Metaverse revolution, and they'll talk to us about what it is and how it will transform our lives. Firstly, we have Dr. Guy Gillian, who is Managing Director and Senior Partner with Boston Consulting Group. As a hardware and software authority, Guy is part of an integrated network of experts who share best practices and leverage crucial information on the latest internet trends. He's a former professor of physics at Emory University. He's authored at least 45 articles on semiconductors, and he has 2 patents. Joining Dr. Gillian and joining us remotely is Roni Abovitz. Roni is also a senior partner with Boston Consulting. He's the founder and CEO of Sun and Thunder, a company creating story worlds, animated films. Anyway, he's the creator of Sun and Thunder. You guys, that was quite the intro. So the story worlds. I'm intrigued to hear about this one. Roni is also the co-founder of Mako Surgical. He's also founded the groundbreaking, augmented reality company Magic Leap. So let's hear it from Roni and Dr. Guy. Thank you so much.
Roni, can you hear us? You should be on Zoom.
I can hear you from my side of the metaverse.
Make Roni's.
It's a pleasure to be with you all. We've been here a couple times, and I want to take just a few minutes, not really to explain the opportunity that we've defined with Mark and the team here. I think it's really quite unique. What I'd like to do, I'll review that briefly. I'd like to update you on some really fascinating developments that are happening with different clients we have. I was in Miami this morning meeting with the president of Live Golf, talking about the metaverse. That's just one example of what we'll talk about. I want to start with just a brief recap. Some of you have seen some of this before. I will.
Maybe kill the microphone.
There's a broader team.
Maybe kill the microphone.
Closely with Eric, Mark, and Chris. Has been a terrific partnership, and a broader team with BCG. Just by way of note, and this is important for context, BCG is about 20,000 consultants in 98 cities around the world. So we see a lot of what goes on. We work with every Fortune 500 company, many of them. And we see what's being developed around the world. I have two metaverse projects underway in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and in India, just as two examples. We'll do some more. And that's the thing. Largely, it's what Mark said. If you look historically at other technology revolutions that have occurred, many people get left behind. If you've ever been to Silicon Valley, drive around Palo Alto. All you're going to see is multi-million-dollar homes, right? It's pushed out the population, and the population is left behind. I want to explain why we think it's important in this technology revolution, the Web3 revolution, for that not to happen. And if you dealt with the entire pyramid of blue-collar tech-enabled workforce, you would be unique in the world in doing so, and that's a real opportunity. We like this opportunity, and this is an idea Ronnie can talk for hours about, because the metaverse amplifies the economy. By creating digital assets, we enable companies and individuals to do more than they normally could, and make money doing it, and take jobs doing it. So there's an opportunity in the metaverse of just amplifying the world. When I talk to clients about metaverse, I kind of jokingly say, well, the metaverse most people think about is avatars, virtual reality, and gaming. And I kind of kiddingly say, the only thing that's going to do is create demand for socially inept people who need psychiatry. It's more than that. It's about data. It's about, and all our clients are asking, what's the digital twin? What's your asset in the metaverse? It is data. And it's a spatialized map of what you do as a business. There's lots of activity. I've shared this with you before, and the next slide talks a bit about cities. Intel has announced a $20 billion chip plant in Ohio. Why not here? Right? I just heard today, in fact, President Biden's in New York, and I think it's Schenectady, or Syracuse, talking about Micron investing tens of billions in a new plant there. Right? There's a lot going on, and I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's continuing with new developments. My colleague Shishen was just yesterday with 53 executives at Sam's Club. Why don't you just you'll have to yell, just a 2-second highlight.
Yeah, so beyond exploring using augmented reality to measure their inventory, so the workers in the warehouse will now be able to only look at papers, but using augmented reality technology to all streamline all the problems.
Yeah, and that's one example. We'll talk more. Lots of cities are starting to announce it. And there's a couple cities in Florida. Orlando has talked about the metaverse. Miami clearly has talked a lot about crypto. There's a lot that can be done in both areas. It's interesting, Mayor Suarez talks about crypto, but is he training anybody to manage the crypto infrastructure? I don't think so. That's an opportunity, and we'll talk a bit more about that. There's a lot going on, but it's still early. If you compare where we are in Web 3 with where we are in Web 2, we're about 1997, which is the year Google was founded. So who's the next Google? It's a very good question. And so we think that what would differentiate this area is to build on your strengths. You think about it, you've got some really world-class strengths in education, sports teams, 3 of the best sports teams in the world, your healthcare system with Advent, with Moffitt, with Tampa General, VA, and defense, right? CIVCOM and SOCOM. And we're having conversations with all of you about why not leverage your strengths but do something unique? Build a blue-collar, tech-enabled workforce. And the question is it worth it? Well, if you close the income inequality gap, the numbers on the left are what it's worth just for this region, if you can close that gap. That's the hill we're going to climb. Is it worth it? Yeah, there's the right number of zeros on those numbers to make it worth it. But it does more than that. It creates resilience. It trains people for the future, not the past. And so it's really important in that regard. A really good example, Ronnie, you want to speak to this slide? Can you see it?
Yeah. So if you think about like the idea of a tech-enabled blue-collar workforce, one of the phrases I use a lot is Tony Stark makes some money. So when you use the value self-design, which is Magic Leap 2, and some of the production around it, and like how can homegrown technology and all of this come together. So one of the key things that we saw was the need for highly skilled tech workers to build a factory in South Florida, the kind of factory you find in Korea or Japan or Shenzhen, China. I built one for robotics in Fort Lauderdale. We built another one for Magic Leap. We're looking for like, where's that skill workforce? And the interesting thing is like, it was actually very sparse. It was hard to find people that have that affinity for high-tech work of the blue-collar side, not the white-collar side. Which you find plenty of in India, in China, Korea, Japan. It was quite sparse in the United States, quite sparse in Florida. What we ended up having to do, working with one of the top CMs in the world, Able, besides Fort Tampa, is we had to make a mirror factory in Guadalajara. And the city and that kind of region helped train thousands of people. And we built a big factory there with Able's help. But the thing that I was trying to test was, do we have that capability here in Florida? And it was very, very difficult to like find the folks and even to find the support locally to train the folks to do this kind of thing. Where it was like almost no friction to try to do that across the border south of us in Mexico. So we were able to move our manufacturing away from China, primarily over to this hemisphere, but we weren't able to achieve the goal of like all the manufacturing done in Florida, even though those jobs were really good, but there just wasn't the talent pool, there wasn't the upskilling ecosystem. And one of the ways you can imagine helping to do that is not just put people through training, but if you're wearing, let's say, a lightweight AR system, the AI plus you can equal a continuous training cycle. I think that's what's super interesting. So that if you simply learn a couple basic skills, you can be upskilled continuously, almost in real time. And that's something we've piloted out, and that's what we mean by this empowerment of a blue-collar tech worker, that you might have to go to classes for 3 months and learn another skill, or that almost matrix-like is being squirted into your system. And you plus the AI plus this AI augmentation, this sort of idea of spatial internet, are giving you capabilities way beyond what you might have in any kind of training capability. So it's like training plus gives you this really unique form of blue-collar tech worker that's never existed before, and we think Canva could be dominant in that.
I think also if you look at what's going on in the world, it's a unique time for you to take advantage of it. There's really 3 things that are happening. One is a technology revolution. It's from Web 2 to Web 3. Whenever there's a technology revolution, there are winners and losers. If you go back to the mainframe in the 60s, the dominant players were IBM, Amdahl, Data General, Unisys. Only one of those we never talk about today. The others died. There will be winners and losers in this tech revolution just like that. Secondly, there's a geopolitical battle that's occurring. You see this with some of the infrastructure spending in the U.S. Supply chains are being rehomed into the U.S. So the U.S. government just passed the CHIPS Act for $52 billion to spend. How much of that is coming to Florida? I've had a discussion with the state of Virginia about how to get their fair share. I don't know if we have that discussion here. And this was based partly on some work that DCT did. So there's changes that are dramatic and big dollars moving. How can you get your fair share? And how can you build for that future? And thirdly, the environment has to be conducive for business to do business. What better place in Florida? You guys, it's a great place. So there's things happening, I think, that work in your favor in that regard. There's lots of opportunity. This is some example of what we're doing as Shishin and I go to different clients about what are the use cases in the metaverse. What can you do with it in reality that does something of value other than some avatar running around, right? If you can collaborate, that's great. We've mapped all those out. For Walmart, we mapped the ones that are highlighted. It's worth billions of dollars. Ronnie and I spent a couple days with Doug McMillan, the CEO of Walmart, talking about these cases. He said, I have 2 million employees. I need to Tony Stark my employees. This is the technology that we need, the digital twin. And I'll show you some examples of that. And so you've got lots of strengths. It's not just Tampa Bay. There's lots of strengths around the state. Actually, quite diverse. The question is, do you have critical mass to drive the innovation? And so we think that there's a unique chance to create what we're calling the Tampa Bay Regional Metaverse. If it's broader than that, that's great. One illustrative point is this slide. This is a really important slide. This is the blue-collar tech-enabled worker. So if you look at the pyramid, for every PhD, there are thousands of technical workers supporting that industry who aren't PhDs. And if you think about past revolutions in Silicon Valley or in AI, it's all about the PhDs. It's all about the top of the pyramid. Well, there's a lot at the bottom of the pyramid. There's thousands of people that are required for everything. I was the CEO of a laser company not too long ago, and I listed the technical skills we needed to build the highest power blue lasers in the world that can blind you from 1,000 miles. Right? It's a lot of technical skills across the board. Not everybody has to have a college degree, but it trains you for that skill. The same is true of the other industries supporting the metaverse. So what's exciting is the next couple slides. What's actively underway? This is just what I'm aware of. There's a lot more than that. Ronnie was one of the most active people in BCG. I think we've done 100 metaverse projects for clients in the last year. Clients like PepsiCo and AT&T are saying, what is it? How do I make money? And so there's a lot underway. I'm going to give you some examples. In the U.S., the military's very interested in spending actively. One of Ronnie's colleagues has a business and they're training Navy SEALs in the shoot house how to clear a room of terrorists in a very sophisticated way and leveraging the magic leap technology. China's investing in Shanghai. South Korea is always a leader in what they do. They're spending $2 billion. And the UAE is targeting a lot, but they've not disclosed how much they're spending. But I'd like to focus on what's happening here. So you all just had a hurricane. I have a house here. It just happened to get hit pretty bad. What if you could, and we're talking to some of the state leaders in Florida and other states, using satellite technology, using NOAA data to predict, for example, where elder care facilities are going to be stranded by storm surge. Where could you use a remote device like AR, VR device to provide a briefing to your governor and other state officials without them having to be in Tallahassee? You can do that. So that's one example. Another example is intelligent asset management. One of my colleagues was doing this in North Carolina, using satellite data to map all the state assets, the state highways, and mapping down to nitty-gritty detail what the repair needs are for all the assets that are prioritized. They can also do that for utilities, mapping all the foliage and understanding where they need to deploy the workers real time. It's just about building a tool. This is the metaverse. You do the same thing. Another colleague of mine did this for AT&T. You think about deploying cell phone assets, cell towers. You don't want to deploy those towers where they're going to get flooded. So why not be smart about it? They worked with the guys at Argonne National Labs to build a sophisticated map in 2D of where that's at risk, and they plan their long-term asset build that way. You can do that even with a more sophisticated way, but that's one good example. You think about planning and monitoring any operation center, whether it be for a utility, a telco, a government agency. There are different levels of capabilities you may need, including simulations, that you can't do on a flat screen with a Coursera deck. for a sales coach. You may need interactive training on how to deal with situations. Think about first-person shooter training for a Walmart manager. What better way to do that than with an AR device? You can do that. Surgery. My brother is a surgeon. Think about this. I've been in surgery with him, and he says, there's a vascular structure within a millimeter of where I've got this tumor, but I can't see it. If I cut it, this patient's dead. He knows it's there, and he has to be careful. Why not overlay an MRI of the vascular structure onto the patient? This is really spawned out of Ronnie's history. And then guide the surgeon on where to move the scalpel so that that doesn't happen. That's what's being talked about. In fact, she was talking on Tuesday with one of the Florida-based healthcare systems about opportunities like this. And so there's a lot of activity. I'm going to move quickly because I'm more sports. So, Tampa Bay actually uses virtual reality to train their coaches and players. The problem with virtual reality is it causes nausea. It can be worn for a long time. With augmented reality, you can do the same thing even better. But with a device like the Magic Leap device, I can track where the quarterback is looking. So I know if he's following the right person. We had a conversation with the president of the San Francisco 49ers, very interested in the training aspects of this. And like I said, I was just this morning with the president of Live Golf, who's quite interested in enhancing the experience of the fan on a golf course. You know, when you watch golf on TV, you see the trajectory of the ball is mapped out. Well, when you're in person, that doesn't happen. Right? If your eyesight's as bad as mine, you miss the ball. Well, with a device like this, you can track the ball. So there's lots of things that can be done, and it's getting the interest of people in different fields, including sports. Another one is training. We talk about this. This comes up every time we talk to you. How can I take a dull course and make it interactive? Well, the good thing about a device like Magic Leap, it has 18 sensors on it. It knows where you're looking. It knows your heart rate. It knows your blood pressure. It can even detect 200 diseases in your eye because it's looking in your eye. So it knows if you're in training, if you're paying attention or not. Right? That biometric feedback can be very powerful. This is the power of measurements. Things that you can do. And these are happening now around the world, around the U.S. So, what we envision, what we think you all can really be differentiated from around players around the world is take the whole pyramid. Be the blue-collar tech-enabled workforce. Build the curriculum, build the jobs so you can create the virtual cycle. What you don't want to do is train people with no jobs so they have to move away to get a job, or vice versa. You don't want to bring companies here that not have the talent, which is one of the biggest factors for most CEOs. Not have the talent to fill those jobs. You want the virtual cycle. And many times people don't do that in the tech revolution. That is the opportunity. It's what excites us, and what we've been excited with Mark and people we've spoken to. I think that's what the opportunity is. And it's unique. So I think with that, one more thing. There's an opportunity to share a couple of the Magic Leap devices. If you'd like to try a demo, we have time for a few. But you can see what is really quite different. Augmented reality is different from virtual reality. In virtual reality, you are isolated from the world. If I put a virtual reality device on, Oculus Rift, I can't see anyone in this room. With augmented reality, I see everyone, but I see Tinkerbell on your shoulder. And you can do things like that. And we'll show you examples of a wildfire demo that was built for the World Economic Forum, and there's a couple of them. We have a few minutes, and we have a room if you'd like to see that. Thank you.
Want to stay afterwards and ask the questions to Guy directly. Please
by cancer or know someone who has. I know that I certainly wish that when my dad was diagnosed with cancer several years ago and we lost him to that disease in 8 months, I wonder what the story would have been if healthcare had been at play in the metaverse, exploring and looking for new ways to achieve an earlier diagnosis or treatment. And so in the healthcare industry, the metaverse is so important. And so it's really no surprise that Soaring City would give so much attention to having healthcare and research in this uptown district. For those of you in the room who may not know this, I want to share another interesting fact. Uptown is home to one of the largest medical research clusters in the southeastern United States of America. I think that's and Uptown also includes a top 25 public research university. So when you think of that and you think of the commitment of all of the different groups, the building blocks that we said earlier that make up the acronym for Rhythm, of who we are bringing in together, it's certainly no surprise that Soaring City would create an innovation award around the issue of healthcare. And so I'm very excited to start that part of the program now. This is the Healthcare Innovation Award. It's named after Jack Kowalski, former president of the hospital at Moffitt Cancer Center, and also a longtime member of the Tampa Innovation Partnerships Board of Directors. Jack is now the executive director of the Alliance of Dedicated Cancer Centers, and he's joining us here to present the award. Also joining Jack on stage to help present is the man who first came up with the idea for this award. His name is Chris Bowen, and he is Soaring City's chairman of the board. Jack and Chris, if you could please join me on stage and take your places. As they take their places, and you all can open up the boxes and get everything ready. I'm going to explain just a little bit about how we got to this point. Our top 2 finalists made it incredibly hard for our judges this year. They were among the nominations that Soaring City received from its very large network of contacts. The judges noted that it was especially difficult selecting only one winner because the top 2 finalists had impressive merits. But in the end, there could only be one. And so, Jack and Chris, are you ready to present? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to present the winner of the 2022 Jack A. Kowalski Healthcare Innovator Award to Moffitt Cancer Center. Their award-winning project is called First Connect. Accepting the award for Moffitt are some of the key individuals in this initiative. I'm going to call some of their names and ask that they make their way up to the stage. Dr. Jason Fleming, Dr. Lewis Harrison, Karen Wardenberg, Christy Pratt, and Geraldus Flowers. Please come forward. Bossy lady behind the microphone. I just wanted you to have great pictures. And as they take their pictures, I can talk a little bit more about First Connect. First Connect engages with new patients from the start of their cancer journey, bringing together the patient with a subject matter expert that can connect with him or her on a very personal level, providing emotional support, reassurance, and comfort at every stage of the process. When I read this, I got really emotional because I thought, wow, it's like having your own guardian angel. And I certainly wish that, that my dad would have had that. So on behalf of everyone here, thank you for your innovation, and on behalf of future patients who won't feel so alone, thank you for your first connect. Would you like to say anything, Dr.
Thank you so much. Just listening to the wonderful talk that we just heard about, you know, ideas come at interesting times. Throughout history, during pandemics or plagues, people could come up with ideas. And this idea came about in the depths of COVID, when actually we were kind of on a slowdown in our hospital. And Lou Harrison, who can't be here, and I were talking on the phone, and we said, look, how can we do it better? We got to do something better. We got to improve. And that was the genesis was Lou Harrison. I remember him on the phone. He said to me, you know, the most difficult time for a cancer patient is when they get diagnosed and they're walking after their car from the doctor's office, and they're sitting in their car and they're like, I just got diagnosed with cancer. What the heck is going on? What do I do now? And so the whole point of this was to shorten that time to where you're talking to somebody who says, hey, we heard you want to come to Moffitt. We're here. What's going on? What's your story? And it's all about the narrative from them and us saying, we're ready. We want to know about you, and we want you, and we're here to help you. Now, that's the very simple, like, executive, hey, let's do this version. These guys made it happen into something that was real, which took a ton of man hours, hundreds of people, training hundreds of people, getting feedback, getting data, making sure we're headed in the right direction, all the execution part that is so difficult. So this award is their award. Ideas are easy, executing is difficult. And so will you join me in celebrating these guys?
Don't forget to take your awards. Yes, please take your award. And Jack,
It's a thrill to be here, and I just want to say, you know, you all may not see it, but I definitely do. What an exciting area. All of the developments, all of the progress, all of the innovation that's going on here. I miss it here, you know, and so there's a lot to miss. And so congratulations to all of you, and congratulations to you, Chris, and all the team that you lead, Mark Sharp, and everybody else. This is just such outstanding. And most especially, congratulations to my former colleagues at Moffitt for winning this award. I'm so proud of everyone.
Award. This is the Community Impact Awards. And this is really a testament to the power of partnership. The Soaring City at the University Area CDC, which is the Corporation to Develop Community, has partnered to recognize individuals, organizations, I should say rather, organizations that work together to build a cohesive community in Uptown. And in doing so, they've demonstrated exemplary leadership. And so this award, these Community Impact Awards, there are several categories, all under the umbrella of Community Impact Awards, celebrate that. And so we thought it would be wonderful to have someone else help me introduce this award so that I'm not coughing on stage here. Helping me, it will be Tommy Urban D. Kilonen. He is the chairman of Soaring City's Community Engagement Committee. He is also an international recording artist, and he is the lead pastor of Crossover Church. Please join me in
family. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, so that's pretty good, but this is like the last part of the night. So you guys have been a little reserved and a little quiet, but I want to encourage you. This is the part where you get to get a little rowdy. Let your hair down a little bit, okay? Y'all with me tonight? Yeah! That's better. We're getting warming up a little bit, but I get really excited about this. I'm passionate about community engagement and lives being changed, and there's so much good stuff happening. We're going to celebrate some organizations. So I want to get you warmed up just a little bit more. So on the count of 3, I want you to go crazy and cheer. We're going to practice. But picture this. Imagine we're at the Bucks game, okay? There's not another one for 2 weeks. Coming up November 6th. They're playing the LA Rams. And let's pray that it's going to be a turnaround game for the Bucks. Come on, right? So Tom Brady, let's picture, Brady, the GOAT, he's got this perfect pass, and, Mike Evans is in the end zone. He hits him, and he catches it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Chris even did the wave over there. It was great. So, awesome. So, Community Impact Awards, it's a collaborative effort between Soaring City and the UACDC. And I want to have a couple special people to come up and help me present these awards tonight. So, give it up for my man, Mark Sharp. Come on up here, Mark. The man who makes a lot of this stuff happen behind the scenes. And representing UACDC tonight is the COO, Josie Rocco. Come on, give it up for Josie. So we're going to start tonight by presenting the Community Catalyst Award, and this has a focus on a startup program. It's intended to recognize an organization that's emerging in community leadership, inclusion, ongoing growth, and development. And so there's been a lot of great winners of this over the past couple of years. So my favorite taco shop, Fuzzy Tacos, they've won in the past. Casa Chiapas, Mort Community School, they're doing some great work with elementary students. Well-Built Bikes right here in the mall. Lilly Pharmacy right here in the mall. Well-Fed Community right here, doing so many great things. So joining them as winners of the Community Catalyst Award in 2022, the winner, come on, give me a drum roll, everybody. It is the Uptown Eagles. They are a youth football program, cheerleading program right at the UACDC's Harvest Folk Park.
Get it wrong.
Some great stuff, not just with sports, but with academics. They're partnered in with the Service Learning Micro School, doing tutoring, well-fed, making sure they're getting their food. And so, come on, give it up for my man. He's already made this way. Give it up for Coach Ross.
Y'all got me with this one. I just want you to know that. You tricked me with this one. But thing is, this award for the Uptown Eagles, true enough, this is a community award, such as UACDC, Well-Built, North Park, North Elementary, a lot of schools, Service Learning Center. Everybody, one family, actually, this award to help us in our community be a better community as it is. So I'll take this award for Uptown Eagles, but it actually belongs to our community. And I see now we got to graduate the metaverse and so on. Mark, we have to talk when we get through this, okay? All right. So thank you, I really appreciate it, okay?
All right, next we're going to do the Creative Cooperation Award, and this award has a focus on partnerships and community and demonstrate exceptional collaboration impact between community partners and community members. And this award in the past has gone to some great organizations, Family Health Centers, Can Do, this organization called Love Our City. Hillsborough County Deputy Ashley Alvarez, Amrock Fab Lab right here in the mall, and the We Nourish program. And so the 2022 Creative Cooperation Award winner is the LT3 Academy. They're doing some amazing work right here in Uptown, guys. They're such an important part of the soaring city. They're creating tech job skills for right here in our community. So they provide apprentice and pre-apprentice programs to allow people to be actually paid while they learn. Isn't that great? In fields like software development, cybersecurity, supply chain management, and automation. So here to accept the award for the LT3 family, CEO Chris and Dagma Morenzi. Come on, give it up for them.
I'll try to keep it short. That's not in my bag of tricks, but I'll try. So we're at math, right? So we have a problem plus a problem, which is an opportunity, right? So problem number one, we do need that tech talent, that tech army that we talked about, right? So like get us into the metaverse. But we also have the present, right? Which is current emerging technology jobs, Web 2.0 jobs, some current Web 3.0 jobs. And on the other side, we have maligned communities, we have underserved communities, we have communities that are looking to become resilient, right? Those are two problems. But interestingly, the problem is a problem, is an opportunity. And the opportunity is to change how we look at workforce development, right? The opportunity is to look at workforce development not as a privilege, but as a right. The ability for everyone, regardless of social or economic standing, whether they were lucky enough to be born to the right family or the right side of the train track, that they do have the right opportunity and the equal opportunity to get into some of these higher paid tech careers, right? So what we've done at the LT3 Group is that we've set a mission to do just that. We ask ourselves a simple question: can we change how workforce development is being done, right? Can we change the probability that someone who grows up from any side of the trade track, right, can walk into a high-tech career? And the answer to that is providing workforce development training. The answer to that is bringing workforce development training directly to these neighborhoods, right, that are on the verge of, falling behind. And it's the same sort of like mission. This is the same sort of vision that we have here from Mockshot, right? How can we get in front of the whole metaverse and Web 3.0 thing so these communities are not left behind? We say we push it further. How can we ensure that these communities are played equally right now, right? So we join on to what RE Management is doing, all the great work that we're doing in this area, Sorry City, and as we try to bring all the community partners and players together, Mockshot with the vision for the metaverse of the future. And we say, can we work towards the future? Can we work towards now at the same time? I would like to thank all these partners, thank my team, our CEO Sydney, Chivia Sydney, Amy Lesniak, our Chief Workforce Development Officer, Mike Hamilton, our Chief Business Development Officer, my wife and partner as well, Head of HR, Dan Quinones, and my youngest son, Grayson, who gives me great ideas all the time. And finally, I do want to thank the Department of Education, who's done a great job of supporting. We've had a singular vision, again, changing how workforce development is done and making it sustainable, right? Getting us away from the concept of, awaiting grant monies and monies from corporations. The idea that the employers and the community themselves can actually fund workforce development and make it accessible to all. And that's what our message has been to the Department of Education, and we want to thank them for 2 consecutive years of funding us through the Department of Education's Pathway to Career Opportunities Grant, to the sum of, I think, around $800K. And we've, because we've done what we said we set out to do. To date this year, we have funded more than $500,000 to students coming through our academy so that they can attain zero-cost tuition. We've paid out more than $400,000 in salaries to people as they go through our programs in a learn as you learn model. And that in itself is what creates the equity that we're looking for. If we answer every single question for an individual, that's outside of their scope of handle. We understand that we create equal opportunities so people actually shine based on their aptitude and attitude as opposed to their current economic or social situations or even the color of their skin. So that's what we set up to do, is to change the game in our workforce development is being done and create a future where everyone has a chance, right, to get into this high-powered technical careers. And that's what we're doing for the LT3 Group, for the LT3 Academy, and for the LT3 Lab. So I thank you for this award, and we look forward to
I love that. I want to create opportunities for everybody. Everybody. All right, guys, y'all ready? We got one more. We got one more. Are you with me? This is the Corporate Change Maker Award, and this is going to focus on the business sector and those that demonstrate exceptional collaboration for the benefit of our community here in Uptown. And so winners provide notable contribution to design, development, and assessment of innovative ideas to move the community forward. And so in the past, some of the previous winners we had was Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, Casablanca, Diamond View Studios right here in the mall. How many of you guys have seen the Diamond View Studios? Oh man, it's amazing. You need to go take a tour. They do tours regularly. RD Management, that is over this entire $1 billion plus redevelopment that's happening right here at Rhythm in Uptown. Florida Blue and Blue Sky Communities. Those are some of the previous winners. So the 2022 winner of the Corporate Changemaker Award is, come on, give me one more drum roll. The last award of the night, let's go. Is Humana. Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit why they were nominated. They were nominated by The Well for their support and service to the community through community gardening efforts, through Well-Fed's kinship process, volunteer teams, overall success. Humana also donated $15,000 to retrofit a school bus that's now serving the community as a kinship mobile market that happens every week at Harvest Hope. And I'll even say personally for us at Crossover Church and Love Our City, Humana many, many times has donated monetarily and with resources and all kinds of stuff to our Big Serve Week, to our Back to School Jam, to get backpacks, and so many different things, to food events that we've done. And so, man, when they got nominated, I was like, come on, let's go. So here to receive that award, come on, give it up for Mark, come on.
Pastor Tommy, University Community, thank you guys so much. Well built, well fed, and all of our community partners. We're just really honored to be a part of this community with you, giving back. Because whole person health, which Humana believes in, and I know Florida believes in also, allow their competitors to come and receive awards in their building, involves getting us all together for the benefit of the community. We can't do this workforce development. We can't do the technology change that needs to happen if we're going to continue the same cultural mindsets that have our community during work so much that they can't spend time with their families or spend time giving back to their community. So thank you guys all, and we hope that everyone here just continues the wonderful work to see this transformation happen, and Humana is going to be part of it with you. So thank you.
All right, congratulations again to all the Community Impact Award winners this year. Everybody, keep in mind throughout the year when you see something good happening in the community, make a mental note of it. When nominations come around next year, which is usually like in the summer, please nominate some people you see that are doing some great stuff in the community. And so before I hand the mic over for closing remarks, I do want to announce one of our past Community Award winners that branched out. They're doing so much great work here in Uptown. Well Built Bikes is about to celebrate 5 years here in Rhythm. They're right downstairs. They do some great work. I went there. Me and my wife got our bikes fixed there many times to support. They're doing so much good stuff. This Sunday, October 30th, from 12 to 3, they're having a party. and they just wanted to let all you know you're invited. I heard there's going to be some food and all kinds of stuff, and so come celebrate what they're doing in Uptown. And so tonight, as we get ready to close out, just with a couple closing remarks, come on, give it up one more time for Mark Sharp and Chris Bowen, they're working hard behind the scenes. Come on, guys. Tommy's awesome. He's got so much excitement and passion. Tommy, we thank you for doing this award once again. First, let me make sure that I thank the lady that helped organize this event, Nancy Kipnis. Nancy did a phenomenal job. Thank you very much for all the work you did. I know this run, we try to keep it tight. I want to thank all the winners. We're so impressed with the work done by Moffitt. Jack, you were at the start. You were one of the ones that helped put this organization together. You had the vision. You knew that we could build a great community. You helped bring the partners together. And thank you for coming in once again to present. I want to thank again the Moffitt individuals at LT3 Labs. You're awesome. The work they're doing, you can hear it from Brian Bailey when he speaks with passion about the training that he's doing within the community. Humana, what great partners from start to finish. They've done practically every project we've been engaged in, and this one that we're working on now, which is to end generational poverty, close the income gap. We can do it. We can do it. It's, and we just have to work together. And you're seeing this here, and you're seeing it out there, and we've got some great events that are going to be coming in the future. I want to thank again Verizon, Atkins Global, Dallas One, Florida Blue, Hillsborough County's EDI2 program, and the City of Temple Terrace. I want to thank our anchor institutions, Advent Health, Busch Gardens, Florida Blue, HCC, James Haley Veterans Hospital, Moffitt, Arnie Management, awesome, as well as TICO, UACDC, and again, the others that have been here with us from the very beginning. Chris?
Well, again, if you didn't have before tonight,
I hope now as you leave, you take a little bit of rhythm in your heart with and join us at Soaring City. There's a lot going on, and when we created the concept of Uptown and Uptown here, even before we ever thought of what this development was, I thought of what is this community, and it really came out to be that Uptown and everything that that entails, and the most challenging, most awesome, the hardest mountain to deliver crime is life itself. And Soaring is a community that is growing by leaps and bounds in this Uptown neighborhood and community that is really there to help you make that climb. Because you don't have to make it by yourself, right, Tommy? You shouldn't make it by yourself. And that's really what Soaring City is here. The connection with people is what brings your life, most fulfillment ever. And in Uptown, that's what Soaring City is doing. We're connecting as many people as we can. We're showing people how to connect with others. And out of that, great things are happening. So thank you so much for coming tonight. And we hope you will be here next year and all the other events between now and then, because it's just going to keep getting bigger and better. Two last things. One is, if you got a community award, please take the box. Those are glass if you happen to see. So this is a great box. Please take it. It's not over yet. All right. So the party continues next door at Look, in the Look Lounge, and in the large theater at Look. We're going to go into kaleidoscope mode from 7 to 11. And if you didn't do kaleidoscope last year, you got to do it this year. It's an immersive digital arts and live DJ choreographed gathering. And it's for our healthcare people. I'm telling you, there's something to it. It's therapeutic. It is therapeutic. And to have the visual and the audio going together in a gathering mode. And so we're having that continued gathering. It's called Kaleidoscope, and it's Collide C, but with a K. So it's Kaleidoscope.
That's happening, and the guest artist is DJ Buck Rogers. Is the DJ tonight, and he came in all the way from Austin for us. And he's a famous artist himself. He's travels around with people like Dave Chappelle, and we're really excited to have him tonight. So please join us. Just like tonight, this event it's free. So we're hoping that the 800 or 900 students next door, we tried to tell them that this was happening. So hopefully they'll show up.